Some judges become famous for their rulings. Some become famous for their courtroom wisdom. But Judy Sheindlin became a cultural phenomenon. With her sharp tongue, fearless attitude, and legendary ability to cut through excuses in seconds, she transformed the image of the television judge forever. Millions know her simply as Judge Judy, the woman who could look at a defendant, raise an eyebrow, and seemingly know exactly where the story was going. But behind that famous black robe is a fascinating woman whose journey began far away from television fame. Her story is one of ambition, resilience, family, reinvention, and extraordinary determination. And perhaps the most remarkable part, Judy didn't become a television superstar until she was already in her 50s. That means her biggest chapter wasn't the beginning of her career. It was the chapter she wrote when many people would have considered starting over too late. Early life. Judith Susan Bloom, later known as Judy Sheindlin, was born on October 21, 1942, in Brooklyn, New York. She grew up in a working-class Jewish family in the New York City area. From an early age, Judy developed a strong personality that would eventually become her trademark. She was outspoken, determined, competitive, and apparently never particularly interested in simply going along with the crowd. Those qualities would later become powerful weapons in the courtroom. But Judy's childhood wasn't filled with television cameras or celebrity. She was raised in an ordinary family, attended public schools, and grew up in a city where toughness and confidence could take you a long way. And somewhere along the way, she discovered that she didn't just want to have a career. She wanted to make an impact. Her parents. Judy was the daughter of Murray Bloom and Ethel Bloom. Her father worked as a dentist, while her mother was a homemaker. Her family background was important to the values Judy developed. Growing up in New York and within a close-knit Jewish family environment helped shape her strong sense of responsibility, family loyalty, and direct communication style. Her parents also understood the importance of education, and Judy would eventually take that lesson very seriously. Siblings and family. Judy was not an only child. She grew up alongside siblings, including her sister Joyce, and her family remained an important part of her life. While Judy would eventually become one of America's most recognizable television personalities, her early family life was considerably more private. What stands out most about her upbringing is the environment that helped create the woman viewers would later recognize immediately. Judy didn't develop a personality designed for television. Television simply discovered a personality that was already there. Education. Judy attended James Madison High School in Brooklyn. After high school, she went on to American University in Washington, D.C., where she studied government. But Judy wasn't finished. She later attended New York Law School, earning her law degree in 1965. That decision would change the direction of her entire life. At a time when the legal profession was still heavily dominated by men, Judy entered the field determined to establish herself. She passed the New York bar examination and began building her legal career. And this is where the future Judge Judy began to emerge. The beginning of her legal career. Judy initially worked as a corporate lawyer. But she soon realized that corporate law wasn't where her passion truly lived. She wanted to work closer to people. Closer to real problems. Closer to the kind of disputes where emotions, personalities, money, and family could collide. Eventually, she moved into family court. That decision proved to be incredibly important. Judy became a prosecutor in the New York family court system, where she dealt with difficult cases involving children, families, and domestic disputes. And she quickly developed a reputation, not for being the softest person in the room, but for being tough, fast-thinking, direct, and incredibly difficult to fool. Her courtroom style was already beginning to resemble the Judy viewers would eventually see on television. A major turning point. In 1982, Judy was appointed as a judge in New York Family Court. Her reputation continued to grow. She became particularly well known for handling cases involving juvenile delinquency and family disputes. She expected people to tell the truth. She expected them to be prepared. And she had very little patience for excuses. Her reputation eventually caught the attention of the media. In the early 1990s, Los Angeles Times writer Josh Getlin profiled her. The article helped introduce Judy's unusual courtroom personality to a much wider audience. Then came the opportunity that would completely transform her life. Judge Judy arrives on television. In 1996, Judy Sheindlin became the star of a new courtroom television program, Judge Judy. At first glance, the concept seemed simple. People with legal disputes would appear before Judy, and she would make decisions. But viewers quickly discovered that this wasn't an ordinary courtroom show. Judy was blunt. She was funny. She was intimidating. She was unpredictable. And she had a remarkable talent for exposing contradictions. Her famous one-liners became part of television culture. She didn't simply settle disputes. She turned courtroom arguments into must-see television. The show became an enormous success. And Judy became one of the highest-paid and most recognizable personalities in American television. Why Judge Judy became so popular? There was something different about Judy. She didn't behave like a celebrity who happened to play a judge. She behaved like a judge who happened to become a celebrity. That distinction mattered. She spoke directly. She didn't waste time. And when someone's story didn't make sense, she wasn't afraid to say so. Her courtroom became a place where excuses were often demolished in real time. For viewers, it was entertaining. For the television industry, it was incredibly profitable. And for Judy, it became the second act of an already extraordinary career. Relationships and first marriage. Judy's personal life has also been an important part of her story. She married her first husband, Ronald Levy, in 1964. Levy was also a lawyer. The couple had 2 children, Jamie and Adam. Their marriage eventually ended in divorce in 1990. Judy has spoken about how her first marriage and the demands of raising children while pursuing a professional career shaped her. For a woman building a legal career during an era when professional women were often expected to make compromises for family life, Judy's journey was not always simple. But she kept moving forward. And then came another major chapter. Marriage to Jerry Sheindlin. In 1977, Judy married Jerry Sheindlin, a New York judge and former prosecutor. Their relationship became one of the most interesting partnerships in her life. They divorced in 1990, but fate wasn't finished with them. The pair eventually reconciled and remarried in 1991. That second chance became one of the enduring stories of Judy's personal life. Jerry understood the legal world. He understood the pressures of public life. And he became a partner who could stand beside one of the strongest personalities in television. Their marriage has lasted for decades. Her children. Judy is a mother of 5 children. From her first marriage, she has Jamie and Adam. Through her marriage to Jerry Sheindlin, she became stepmother to Jonathan, Nicole, and Gregory. Family has remained a major part of Judy's life. And her children have pursued their own careers rather than simply living in their mother's enormous shadow. One of the most fascinating things about Judy's family story is that her career achievements never completely replaced her role as a mother and grandmother. In fact, family became part of the legacy she built outside the courtroom. Grandchildren. Judy has also embraced life as a grandmother. Despite her famously tough television personality, she has often spoken warmly about her family. And that contrast makes her story even more interesting. The woman who could verbally dismantle a courtroom argument in seconds could also be deeply devoted to her family. Judge Judy, the television icon, and Judy Sheindlin, the wife, mother, and grandmother, are 2 sides of the same woman. Her television empire. The success of Judge Judy went far beyond simply making Judy famous. It made her a television powerhouse. For decades, the program remained one of America's most successful daytime courtroom shows. Judy's popularity was so enormous that her influence extended beyond the courtroom. She became a producer, author, television personality, and businesswoman. She understood something many television personalities never figure out. A successful show can make you famous. But owning and controlling the brand can make you powerful. Judy mastered both. Judy Justice. After Judge Judy ended its original run in 2021, many people wondered whether Judy would finally retire. But Judy had other plans. She returned with Judy Justice, a streaming courtroom series that continued her familiar style while introducing her to a new generation of viewers. It proved something important. Judy wasn't successful simply because of one television program. The audience was following Judy herself. Her business acumen. Judy's career also demonstrated remarkable business intelligence. She became one of the highest-paid figures in television, with earnings reaching extraordinary levels during the height of her success. But her real achievement wasn't simply earning money. It was understanding her value. Judy negotiated major television deals and built an entertainment brand around her personality. She also became a best-selling author, writing books about relationships, family, law, and life lessons. She turned her legal experience and television persona into a much larger media empire. Personality and courtroom philosophy. Judy's approach to justice can be summarized in one word: accountability. She doesn't appear interested in complicated theatrics. She wants facts. She wants evidence. She wants people to answer questions directly. And she expects common sense. That's part of what made her so entertaining. She wasn't afraid to challenge people. And she wasn't afraid to challenge the audience either. Her message was often simple: actions have consequences. That philosophy became one of the defining themes of her career. Her legacy. Judy Sheindlin's legacy reaches far beyond Judge Judy. She helped redefine what a television judge could become. She showed that a woman in her 50s could become a television superstar. She demonstrated that legal expertise could become mainstream entertainment. And perhaps most importantly, she proved that age doesn't necessarily mark the end of ambition. For many people, their biggest career opportunity arrives when they're young. For Judy, her biggest opportunity came after decades of hard work. She didn't become an overnight sensation. She built credibility first. Then she built a brand. Then she built an empire. The bigger lesson behind her story. Judy Sheindlin's life isn't simply a story about a famous judge. It's a story about reinvention. She began as a young woman studying government and law. She became a lawyer, then a family court judge, then a television personality, then a producer and media entrepreneur. And eventually, she became one of the most recognizable judges in popular culture. Her journey reminds us that success doesn't always arrive according to schedule. Sometimes your greatest chapter comes after you've already spent decades preparing for it. And that's perhaps the most powerful lesson in the Judy Sheindlin story. Don't confuse getting older with being finished. Judy Sheindlin didn't. She kept evolving. She kept working. She kept building. And eventually, she turned her sharp legal mind, unmistakable personality, and decades of experience into a television empire. From the Brooklyn girl who dreamed of becoming a lawyer, to the family court judge who earned a reputation for toughness, to the television icon who made millions of viewers tune in for courtroom drama, Judy Sheindlin didn't just wear the robe. She turned it into a brand. And decades after she first stepped into the spotlight, Judge Judy remains one of the clearest examples of what happens when confidence meets experience, persistence meets opportunity, and a powerful personality refuses to be ignored.